students are now beginning the new school year. So tell us about what are the concerns for students with SCD, especially because, we're going back to school in a pandemic.
Yeah, well, transitioning is a really challenging time for anybody, but in particularly with somebody who has a chronic illness, and we're talking today about sickle cell disease, and then to add another layer on that, going back in terms of the pandemic, kids are leaving home, some of them for the first time, and instead of having their families go with them to clinic and have their parents, giving their histories and so forth, they have to take on all that responsibility themselves, in addition to the responsibility of just regular activities of daily life that they have to do on their own. So it's really important for people to stay focused on their health care and to be aware of the things that they need to do to protect themselves, particularly in this COVID-19 era, which can be so difficult.
Absolutely. And now, Casey, you went through this just a few years ago. You went transitioned from high school to college. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was, I was very fortunate to have a wonderful pediatric care that transitioned me very well into my adult care and my doctors. But it is difficult getting on a college campus, wanting to get involved and all of a sudden being very active. And I had a little bit of difficulty. I was starting to get hospitalized more. I had some difficulty with acute chest syndrome. And it was because I lost focus on needing to hydrate, needing to rest and keep my stress levels down so that I wasn't having issues with my sickle cell. And it took, having a few bad turns of things to talk to my doctors more, be in contact with them, have a great support system with my friends and family at home, as well as my new friends on campus that I could talk to about this and really open up to, and they could be there to support me in times that I had difficulties. So, in this time of transition, and particularly during a pandemic, when there's so much focus on staying distant and wearing your masks, and that can be hard to remember on a college campus, it's really important for sickle cell patients to have their support systems in place so that when they are feeling, pressured or stressed or overwhelmed, they're able to lean on those people.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that has to be quite a transition. Going back to you, doctor, do you have any advice for high school and college students who are now going to be taking more responsibility for their own health?
Yeah, well, I think the most important advice is to just stay in touch with your healthcare, to take charge of your healthcare, to know your disease, to have a care plan, to identify, what hospital am I going to go to if I get into trouble, to be aware of the fact that there's the Office of Students with Disabilities. So if you need special accommodations, then sometimes you could go there and get extra information. But we are partnering with Global Blood Therapeutics to raise awareness about sickle cell disease in general, which is so important, but also a new medication called Oxbrita. And what it does is it actually targets the red blood cell, right? And so the sickle red blood cell is the problem in sickle cell disease. And so if that red blood cell doesn't sickle, then you don't have the problems. And it could actually help with the anemia so you don't feel so tired, because going to college can be such a stressful time and everybody is fatigued. And if you're anemic or have low blood in addition, that can be a problem. And then there's always the issue of side effects. All medications have side effects. And one of the things that we've seen most commonly is diarrhea or loose stools. And that's why it's really important for you to talk to your doctor and get advice in terms of how you should proceed with your care.
Wow, absolutely. And now we're going to just jump back to you, Casey. Do you have some important tips for SCD students to keep in mind now that we're heading back to school?
Absolutely. My number one tip is to always stay hydrated, always have a water bottle near you, on you, filled to the brim with as much water as it can possibly hold. Staying hydrated is so, so, so key. And then my second largest tip is really having a support system. That can be your family, your guardians, your teachers, your friends, whoever it is, so that in the times that you're feeling great, they're there for you. But in the times that you're struggling with some sickle cell disease issues, they're there to support you as well and advocate for you. And just so, when you're going through this time, particularly in a pandemic, you can have people to talk to and really, really supports you. So having a good support system, I think, is very, very key.
Yes, now more than ever, for sure. So, Casey, just the last question: Where can we just learn more about this transition of care and supporting people with SCD?
Absolutely. SickleCellSpeaks.com is a wonderful website that has lots of information on transition.
Awesome. Well, listen, you both have been fantastic guests. We really appreciate your time today, and have a great rest of your morning.
You
You
too.
as
Thanks
well.
for
Thank you
having
so
us.
much.
Yeah, thank you for helping to raise awareness. Okay, take care.
You too.